Hi everyone, and welcome to At Home with AJ. I'm glad that you could welcome the Kingsville Public Library into your home today and that you could join me in mine. Today we're going to be talking about the dreaded masks. There's been a lot in the news about wearing masks. Are we going out in public? If we're going out in public, should we wear a mask? What kind of masks should we do? What is the function of a mask? There's so much out there that it's overwhelming. I actually had to start doing some research because my husband needs to wear a mask at work. And so I wanted to make sure that I was going to make something that would be functional for him and do as much to protect him as possible. I'm going to show you what I have been doing at home today, but I would like to start by saying this is not something that the CDC is endorsing. I'm not even sure what kind of guidelines they have out there for homemade masks, if they have any. But masks are hard to come by. We need them. And so this is going to be something that is just going to be a helpful little hint for you. I'm going to give you some of the tools if you intend to craft your own mask, that these are the things that could possibly help you craft a better mask. Again, this is not something that is approved or endorsed by the CDC. This is just information that I have gathered from different websites, that if you're going to wear a mask and you're going to make your own, that hopefully this will help you. So let's go ahead and get started. For our craft project today, I'm going to talk about materials first. If you're thinking about making a mask or entertaining the idea, maybe you've heard that there are a lot of materials that aren't available out there. And that's kind of correct, sadly. And if you're going to make a homemade mask, one of the things that you're going to want to do is, ideally, the theory behind making a mask is that you're going to protect others from yourself. And that's where you see the little hospital grade masks, where it's just basically, they're telling you, take a piece of cloth, take a bandana and put it over your face. And the reason for that is then if you sneeze or if you are having conversation or you cough, the moisture droplets that come out of your mouth are then being caught in that piece of fabric. Sadly, what it doesn't do is prevent moisture from coming in, those moisture barriers. So that is one of the things that we're going to look at here in a minute, is a moisture barrier, so that for your craft, that if you're going to make a mask, that you're going to have something that will give you a little bit of protection. Is it going to be a Superman cape that we're making today? Again, absolutely not. But it might help you in what you're doing. So we've all heard lots and lots about the N95. Okay, and the reason that this is called N95 is because of the materials, the microfibers, and all of the interesting things that go into this. And it's a moisture barrier, because that's what things are all about, is those droplets of cooties that are floating around, whether or not they can penetrate the material. So that's going to be something that maybe you want to think about as you're crafting your mask, is the moisture barrier. If you look up any of the patterns or the videos like I did, most of them, when they tell you about making a similar mask to this, they're going to talk about interfacing, webbing, or lining. And ideally, you're going to want to get a sew-in interfacing. And there are a lot of different kinds out there, and there are so many kinds that I'm not even going to really talk about it. You can go to Joann Fabrics, either their website or their store. They will recommend the best interfacing for your craft mask. They will also give you a pattern if you need it. I have a pattern that I will talk about here in a minute that you can download that I think is really good. So let's say you go to Joann Fabrics and they're out of interfacing, or you've called, they don't have interfacing, you've gone online. Well, what else can I use? Well, this is very important, and this is also very important for your fabric. The reason that they recommend cotton is, again, we're talking about that moisture barrier. You have to look at fabrics as woven, and what we're looking at is if you were able to blow up your fabric under a microscope, okay? you can see how the fabrics are woven together, what can penetrate through this barrier, okay? And so the tighter that weave is, the smaller the holes are going to be. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that you get a good type weave. You want something woven. That's important. Okay, so people have said, well, you know, what about dryer sheets? They're woven. They look a lot like this interfacing stuff that I have. But if you look and you see, this is the interfacing, this woven interfacing. It's nicely and tightly woven. You can see this dryer sheet. Like, look, there's a big old, hole right here already. So it's very important to find a fabric that is tightly woven and somewhat water resistant. And one of the ways that you can do that is if you put some water on it. And I'll actually show you this. You put some water on here, you can actually see how it kind of beads up and is not immediately soaking through the fabric. What's fabulous about this particular fabric, and if you watched me make dryer sheets the other day, or disinfecting wipes, is that this actually came off of a bed skirt, and it is water resistant. So again, if you use this as a lining in your mask, if you were to encounter some of those moisture droplets, it stands a better chance of repelling those. Is it foolproof? Absolutely not, but it may help. If you don't have an extra piece of bed skirt lying around, if you don't have a Farkas monster dog in your house that's tearing stuff up that you can recycle later, cheap bags, your reusable shopping bags, are made of this same kind of material, and you can cut this up. And this is my lovely PetSmart bag, and if I get desperate enough, I may cut this up, but not right now. So that is what you can use in place of an interfacing if you have any of these materials. Now for your outer material, they are recommending that you do 100% cotton, and the reason is because that's breathable. At the end of the day, when you put this on your face, you want to make sure you're able to breathe, so that's very important. Now again, if you can't get to the fabric store or they're out of 100% cotton, obviously you can use t-shirts. Any kind of clothing you have around the house is perfectly acceptable to recycle and reuse. Now the other thing you're going to get into is your ties on your back. Elastic is another hot commodity right now. Very hard to get. What can I use in place of it? Well, let's start with, there are other places in your house to get elastic. And this kind of maybe is a little interesting, but you can always use underwear and take the elastic waistband out of underwear, or maybe some sweatpants. All of those have exactly this type of elastic in the back of them. So that's one option. Again, if you don't necessarily need an elastic one, you could always use a tie method. And so if you have some ribbon hanging around, you can do that, and I'll show you how to attach that with a different style headband. Or shoestrings. If you have strings, that's another option. So that's for your ties. You will find the supply list down below in the comment section, as well as the pattern. And that's the other thing that I'm going to talk about right now is craftpassion.com. This is not my pattern. I actually got this off the internet, and I actually found it from watching 2 other videos that they also linked back to her pattern. So the overall video, maybe not the best one for how to actually make the mask, but this is definitely the best pattern. And the reason that I like this pattern is because, again, we're going to talk about that whole hospital mask, where you're just kind of pulling things off, and the hospital mask is just preventing me from contaminating, actually if I were a doctor or something, from contaminating whatever I'm working on. And we're hoping to not only put something on our face that will protect others if we're carrying around a virus, that we're not spreading it to others, but hopefully that we're getting a little bit of protection for ourselves if somebody else is carrying that. And so when you put this mask on, ouch, and hopefully you can hear me okay as I talk, you're going to have a nice tight seal around your nose, and I'm going to show you a nice little trick to get a nice tight seal around your nose. Okay, you're going to want that barrier there, and you're going to want tight around your face so there are no gaps, so that you're protecting both your nose and your mouth from any moisture droplets. And so that's the mask we're going to make today. Okay, so let's actually start working on making a mask. So you've gone in, you've gotten your pattern, download your pattern. I actually enlarged mine a little bit because if you read the pattern, it talks about that 1/4 inch seam line. I'm not a sewer, I'm not a seamstress. If you're not a sewer or a seamstress, that's okay. We'll get you through this. So you're going to take your pattern, you're simply going to lay it on your cotton fabric. And if you want to, you can fold your fabric over so that you're cutting to it once. You could even fold it in fourths if you feel confident enough to do that. But you are going to end up needing 4 pieces of whatever fabric you're using. And I've actually gone on most of mine with 2 different fabrics so you can tell which side is which. So if you were to take your mask off someplace and then put it back on, you'll know which side is which so that you get the right side. So basically you are just going to trace your pattern onto your fabric and also onto whatever you've chosen to do as an interfacing. Again, you will need either 2 or 4 of these depending on how much you want to line your mask. Remember, the more interfacing you put on there, we'll put more moisture barrier between it, but also will give you a little more warmth, so keep that in mind. So you're going to trace on your fabric and on your interfacing so that you have 4 pieces of fabric and between 2 and 4 pieces of interfacing depending on how much you want to line your mask. And once you have them traced, you can cut them out. Okay, so as you can see, I now have 4 pieces of the fabrics that I want to work with, plus some interfacing. And so our next step is you're going to take your interfacing, you're going to lay it down on your fabric. And this is going to be the outside of my fabric, and there's a reason that it's important to have an outside and an inside. So this is my outside fabric. I'm going to put right sides together, and I'm just going to take my needle and thread, or you can use a sewing machine, whichever you're more confident with, and we're just going to start sewing along this front curve right here. Okay, so we're just going to stitch along that front curve, giving yourself about 1/8 of an inch right along the edge there, okay? And then you're going to take your lining, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to sew in just a little bit farther inside. And the reason being is because this is the lining. Even though they're both the same size, they still need to fit together. In order for them to fit together neatly and flatly, you're going to sew just a little farther in when you do whatever piece of fabric is your lining fabric. Then once you have that sewed, you're ready to put the 2 fabrics together. Okay. I switched up fabrics on you a minute so I could show you this. So you have your lining and your outer piece together. You're going to turn your lining around, and you can see because you have that, it's already starting to take a nice form. And you're going to fit these nicely together. I believe the lady in the one video called it nestle. So we're just going to nestle these 2 together. And once those are nestled together, again, we're going to take our needle and thread. Oh, bad me. We're going to take our needle and thread, and we're just going to sew along this edge. We're going to start at the peak, and we're going to work our way out on this side. Then we're going to start at the peak over here, and we're going to work our way this way. Just hand sewing that edge right along there. And once we've sewn the top peaks, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing at the bottom. We're going to start at the peak and work out this way and work out that way. Now we're ready to put in our special clips. So I have these little hair clips that I actually got at the dollar store, and there was 10 in a pack of these. And they're these nice little metal clips that have these. And if you can, I don't know if you can hear this on the video, but see that actually when I put that on my face, I actually adjust my clips so it's like that. When I put it on my face, I push it. That's actually pushing that fabric up against my face. So at this point, you're going to take your little hair clips and you're going to put the fine point towards the peak and the wide point down there, because you know you're going to want the thin part up here and the wider part down here. And I actually just took my needle and thread and sewed through the little hole at the bottom of the clip and then over this little bar right here. And I'll show, maybe if I use a different color one you can actually see. So we're going to just sew over that bar and then that little, through that little hole. Now, if you can't get these hair clips, one of the videos that I saw, she actually took a reusable aluminum pan and cut that into a piece. People are using pipe cleaners. They're getting really creative. I like these because I think these will hold up in the wash, and these are washable. You can wash them, and so that's why I chose my hair clips. So you're just going to go ahead and sew your hair clips in, and then we're ready to turn the mask inside out. Okay, so this, I've actually taken my little hair clips and sewn them into the nose pieces. You can see, you can also see what kind of hack job I do. And again, this will give that sturdiness to the nose and close up that fabric around your face. So we've turned our mask right side out. We're going to now put our straps on, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your unfinished edge and you're just going to tuck it inside, nice and neat, just like so. And then you're going to put your ribbon, your elastic, whatever you've been able to come up with, and you're just going to tuck that in. And then I like to pin it. If you're talented enough that you can get away without pinning it, I'm so envious of you. You're just going to pin that right on there like that. And you're going to do the same with the other piece. I'm going to put that right in there. And then you're ready to just sew along those edges and close that up and secure your head straps. So once you've attached your elastic and sewed up the sides, you're ready to put on your mask. And poke your clips, and you're good to go. Nice closure on the sides, closed up on top, good fit around the chin. Again, if you're looking for something a little simpler, you can just attach the elastic on the sides, and that pops on nicely as well too. It still does a fairly decent closure, not as tight as that one. Again, download your pattern at craftpassion.com. Thank you for welcoming the Kingsville Public Library into your home today and for joining me in mine. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share so that your friends can become our friends. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can email us, reference@kingsvillelibrary.org. Be safe, be well, practice that good social distancing, and we'll see you real soon. Marcus, I am mommy.